Welcome back, everyone, to another Frightening Friday flick. Now, I have a dark, ugly green on tonight, and the reason for that is because I'm reviewing a Frankenstein film. Not the Boris Karloff Universal Frankenstein, but a very different one. It's a Peter Cushing's Frankenstein, and it is titled The Curse of Frankenstein, and it came out in 1957. So, I want to talk a little bit about horror and history, film history. So during the 1930s and early 40s, horror was pretty popular. But when World War II came, the Holocaust, truly horrific things such as Dracula and Frankenstein just weren't scary anymore, and horror films really fell out of popularity. This film is regarded by a lot of film historians to be the movie that brought horror back. It certainly sparked all those gothic films, such as all those Edgar Allan Poe movies. I've even touched on a few in my reviews. So it's a pretty important film. Universal actually threatened to sue the movie company that made this film, Hammer Films. And Hammer Films became super important in terms of horror films because they basically became Hammer horror. In fact, there are a lot of DVD sets, Hammer horror collections, things like that you can purchase because they would go on to make plenty more Frankenstein films and Dracula films. But anyways, Universal threatened to sue Hammer if there were any hardcore similarities between their Frankenstein and this one. And so Hammer had to be careful not to let the monster look anything like Boris Karloff's monster. And what we get is certainly a different looking monster, Christopher Lee's monster. So we have Christopher Lee, Robert Urquhart, Hazel, and of course Peter Cushing plays the doctor himself. And what I really enjoy about this film is it shows Dr. Frankenstein from when he's a young man grow into a mature man. And it's super interesting seeing how this boy, he is under Robert Urquhart's direction. Urquhart is his mentor, and he learns about biology. And when he becomes a man, we see that they have even discovered how to bring dead animals and humans probably back to life. But Dr. Frankenstein wants to do more than this. He wants to create his own being. He wants to create his own man. So what I love about this film is we see Dr. Frankenstein slowly, continually lose his mind with his work. He becomes obsessed with it to the point where he'll even kill to complete his creation. So that is definitely something to consider. When the actual monster is made and we see it, of course, played by Christopher Lee, it is extremely grotesque. And I feel like with this Frankenstein film, it certainly focuses on Dr. Frankenstein. It's not like the Universal film where we see the monster all the time and the monster is really the star, but Peter Cushing's character is certainly the focus of the film. And I love that because his character just, we see him spiraling out of control, and it's so disturbing with the grave robbing scenes especially. I think that's what I was most disturbed with because we see how he cuts arms or cuts hands off and takes eyeballs and just these little body parts. This is certainly the Frankenstein story, because with the Universal film, I feel like it sort of fast forwards to when, okay, the monster, it's alive. But with this Frankenstein film, we see the process, and the process is gross and disturbing, and you can totally see that it's gross when we see the monster, Christopher Lee's monster. And I I had a feeling that my candle would go out because I knew that I'm so excited talking about this film because I want you to see it. It's definitely a classic. It was extremely successful. In fact, it made 70 times what it cost to make the film, so they made a ton of money on this film. Christopher Lee wasn't even the first choice to play the monster. It was between Christopher Lee and Bernard Bresslaw, and it was solely based on their height. And the determining factor to have Christopher Lee play the Frankenstein is because he said he would take 8 pounds a day to film, and Bresslaw said he would take 10 pounds a day. So Christopher Lee lucked out. He became a huge star, and he had already been in films before this, such as Captain Horatio Hornblower, which I reviewed previously, but he wasn't star status at all. So this got Christopher Lee's name out quite a bit more. There would be 6 sequels to this Frankenstein film revolving around Dr. Frankenstein, not the monster. And let me say, I am excited to see more of them. One even came out a year after this, which I will certainly be watching soon, and it's called The Revenge of Frankenstein. So keep your eyes open for that review. So definitely watch the film. Have scary dreams tonight, guys. I hope you enjoyed this frightening Friday flick, and sweet dreams.